Well, hello everyone, how are you? Today I'm going to talk about something called question tags. What are question tags? Are they real questions? Well, let's see. So, question tags are not the kind of questions that requires information or answers. What does that mean? It means that if I'm talking about a certain idea or if I have a certain piece of information and I'm asking the question tag by the end of it, so I'm expecting the listener to confirm my idea, not to answer my question. So why do we use the question tag? We use a question tag at the end of a sentence when we are almost sure about something and we want the listener to confirm it. For example, I like eating ice cream. This is a certain piece of information. When I say don't I, so I'm expecting the listener to assure my idea, not to answer my question. Form. To form the tag questions, we mainly focus on two important things. These are the helping verb and the pronoun. So let's take a look at the example. The students should follow the rules, shouldn't they? Now here the subject is the students. If I'm going to remove the students and write the proper pronoun for it, it's they, of course, because it's a plural noun. What is the helping verb here? It's should. So the students should follow the rules. The question tag will be, shouldn't they? Again, the students should follow the rules. Shouldn't they? So what are the cases in order to use the question tag correctly? First one is when the sentence is positive, the question tag is negative. Put in mind that the sentence and the question tags are usually opposite to each other. So if I'm having a sentence like John is tired, isn't he? Well, actually, John is tired is in the positive form. So of course, I'm going to write the question tag, isn't he, in the negative form. So I'm going to use not, but you have to put in mind that if you're going to use the negative form in the question tag, it should be in the short form because I cannot say John is tired, is not he. It doesn't sound good. So we use the short form in case of asking the question tag in the negative form. Again, what if the sentence is negative? Again, the question tag is going to be the exact opposite, which is the positive form. Like, my mom can't play tennis. This is a negative sentence. I'm using not. So the question tag will be, can she? I'm using the helping verb can and the pronoun she instead of mom. So again, my mom can't play tennis. Can she? Sometimes a sentence can be negative without adding not. That means that there are some words that gives a negative meaning to the sentence, like never, rarely, seldom. Seldom is another word for rarely. So when there is a negative word in the sentence, of course, the question tag is going to be positive. If I'm using these words, it gives a negative meaning to the sentence, then of course, the question tag should be the exact opposite, which is the positive form. Let's take a look at the example. She has never been to the theater. Has she? Of course, never here acts as not. So it gives a negative meaning to the sentence. So the question tag will be in the positive form. Has she? She has never been to the theater. Has she? They seldom go out. Seldom gives a negative meaning, so the question tag will be in the positive form. Do they? They seldom go out. Do they? Okay, what if we are using the pronoun I and the sentence is positive? If I'm using the pronoun I, of course, and the sentence is positive, so I'm expecting the question tag will be in the negative form. So what are we going to do? In that case, we can use the verb are instead of am in order to form a negative question tag. So the question tag for I am is aren't I. So If the sentence with the pronoun I is positive, I'm expecting to write not in the question tag or the negative form. Of course, I'm not going to write am not I. Again, I should use the short form. And of course, because you all know that there is nothing called amn't I, so I'm using are instead. It will be aren't I. So the sentence will be, let's take a look at the example. I'm lucky today, aren't I? I'm lucky today, aren't I? The fourth case is the imperative form, which is giving orders. So if in my sentence, I'm giving an order or I'm asking for a certain request, I'm using the question tag, will you? You have to put in mind that will you is used for both positive and negative sentences. How? Let's take a look at the following examples. If I say, take these papers to Mr. Smith, will you? Now take these papers to Mr. Smith. I'm giving an order here. And my sentence is in the positive form. I'm using the question tag, will you? What if the sentence is in the negative form, like, don't make so much noise? Again, I'm giving an order, but in the negative form. Also, I'm using the question tag, will you? So will you goes for both cases, positive and negative sentences. Okay, the fifth case. What if the subject of the sentence is the word there, like there is and there are? It's also used in the question tag instead of a pronoun. So I'm going to use there as a pronoun in the question tag. And of course, we're using verb to be is and are in the question tag. So let's take a look at the following example. There is a bookstore near your house. Here it's a positive sentence and you have the verb to be is. So in the question tag, it's going to be isn't there. Question tag is in the negative form and I'm using the there instead of the pronoun. Also, there aren't any eggs for breakfast. Here the sentence is in the negative form. I'm using there, so I'm going to use it as a pronoun in the question tag. Also, I'm having verb to be are in the negative form, so I'm going to use are in the question tag, but in the positive form. So it will be, there aren't any eggs for breakfast. Are there? What if we're talking about a suggestion using the expression let's? We use shall we as a question tag. So if you have an example like, let's travel to Spain for summer vacation, shall we? In the expression let's, we don't have any helping verb. So I'm using the helping verb shall as a solution to my problem. So it's going to be shall we. Also, I use the pronoun we because someone is suggesting an idea among a group of people. So he is talking, of course, he's talking about himself within a group of people. So we are using the pronoun we. Another example, let's go to the cinema. If I'm using the expression let's, I have to use shall as a helping verb in the question tag. And again, the pronoun we. There's a difference between the expression let's and let us. What is the difference between both of them? There's a difference in the meaning. So let's refers to suggestions, but let us means allow us. I'm asking someone to allow us to do something. So it's considered an imperative or a request. So it's like I'm giving an order. So the difference, it's going to be in the question tag as well, like in that case, we do not use shall we with let us. So will you is the best solution. So the difference here will be let's go to the beach as a suggestion. So I'm using the question tag shall we. But if I'm using let us as an imperative, so I'm using will you. Let us go to the party. Will you? Okay, what if we are using the pronoun I and the sentence is positive? if I'm using the pronoun I, of course, and the sentence is positive, so I'm expecting the question tag will be in the negative form. So what are we going to do? In that case, we can use the verb are instead of am in order to form a negative question tag. So the question tag for I am is aren't I. So if the sentence with the pronoun I is positive, I'm expecting to write not in the question tag or the negative form. Of course, I'm not going to write am not I. Again, I should use the short form. And of course, because you all know that there is nothing called amn't I, so I'm using are instead. It will be aren't I. So the sentence will be, let's take a look at the example. I'm lucky today, aren't I? I'm lucky today, aren't I? Well, that's all for today. Hope this was hopeful to you and wish you the best of luck. Bye.